Well, Eddie, it's fight week, Tuesday of fight week. All starts really tomorrow down at Wembley. Sonny Edwards tops the bill, making his Matchroom debut. You must be very excited to get this show underway.
Yeah, I mean, World Championship triple header, it's kind of unheard of now, really. And this kid, Sonny Edwards, I don't know, there's something about him. I love a fighter with extreme confidence and belief. I mean, I love a fighter with bundles of ability. But this guy, he don't care. I mean, he don't care what he says. You can't control him. Sometimes people say to me, "You're going to have a word with Sonny about that?" I said, no, absolutely not. He's on his own. I mean, I'll support him all the way, unless he says something that I don't agree with, and I'll tell you. But he's his own beast, and I think people like it. I think it's quite refreshing to have someone that isn't contrived, that isn't, part of a sort of corporate messaging. He's just his own person. He's not interested in having to speak in the right way to build a fan base. You love me or you hate me. And people are split, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that don't like Sonny Edwards, but there's a lot of people that do. But I don't really care. If you're talking about Sonny Edwards, if you're watching Sonny Edwards, and if you're talking about, I'll put this out there, arguably Britain's best pound for pound fighter. And when you look at the quality that we possess as a nation in terms of professional boxing, and that might be a bold statement, and we need to see it, but potentially Britain's pound for pound number one, Sonny Edwards. Potentially the undisputed world champion. He needs to look good on Saturday. And I think that's we know what's coming, but you've got to back it up. You want to talk with this fire, you want to talk with these words, no problem, I love it. But you're going to be criticised if the performance ain't great. But special fighters do special things when they need to, and I think he's one of them.
And so far he has talked the talk and walked the walk. We just spoke off camera, a couple of landslide, very convincing wins. Does a victory here put him into a unification next? Is that the plan?
100%. I mean, it was close call going into a unification this time around. It was a very fast turnaround for him, 7 weeks since he signed with us. He wants Jesse Rodriguez, he wants Julio Cesar Martinez, he wants Delakian. Listen, I watched Sonny Edwards when he boxed Muthalani. I didn't know a lot about him. I thought, I don't think he'll win. Muthalani is an established, seasoned, very credible world champion experience. It was embarrassing to watch. I mean, he absolutely schooled him. And I've seen him get more entertaining, take more chances. And I think he can do that against Campos. Campos is what, 15-0, 16-0? I mean, game as a bagel, will do everything to win. And I think that will suit Sonny. But Sonny's got to rise to this occasion. He's been in the wilderness and behind closed doors, if you like, for too long. This is his coming out party. This is his chance to shine and show the world what he believes, that he's number one in the division.
A name you just mentioned then, Jesse Rodriguez. I think he put on his Instagram back in the last week, his first training session back in the gym. What can you update us on his injury?
I mean, broken jaw's never good. It's going to take some time to heal. He's going to be ready November, December. And I think we can make the Sonny Edwards fight. I mean, we're in talks at the moment to make Jesse Rodriguez against Sonny Edwards. It is one of the best fights in boxing, unquestionable. I know it's the little guys, and I know it doesn't quite have, the profile and the adoration of Fury against AJ. But I'm telling you now, Jesse Rodriguez against Sonny Edwards is one of the best pound for pound fights in boxing, and that is a fight we would like to make. And I think Jesse and Robert Garcia would go straight into that fight in November, December.
If that's been talked about, is Dakalan versus Martinez been spoken about as well?
That's the. I mean, Julio Cesar Martinez does have some backed up mandatories, but I want to get this division unified. I want to have one undisputed champion. We don't get the chance to do that very often, but when there is a path, when there is a way, let's get it done. Jesse Rodriguez against Sonny Edwards, Julio Cesar Martinez against Delakian. Winners fight the winner, one champion.
Let's talk about Ellie Scotney's chance against Shanika Johnson on Saturday. Huge fight in just her 7th professional fight, but this is the time for her to step up and take the gold.
It really is, and it's a very tough fight. Shanika Johnson, without many standout victories, very tough, good engine, very confident. I heard in a chat to our team yesterday, for some reason, she thinks she can beat me, and she's the underdog in the fight. She doesn't see it that way. I've seen that she's been training out in America. They've invested in this camp. But Ellie Scotney's a special fighter. She needs to stay composed. It's going to get tough in there. And for Shanika Johnson, she needs to do almost, she almost needs to do a Chantel Cameron. She needs to make Ellie unravel as quickly as possible. But Ellie loves to fight. She's really entertaining. And, for Sunny Edwards' coming out party, this is the same for Ellie Scotney. This is a chance for her to become an established figurehead in women's world boxing, to become a world champion, to move on to unifications, to change her life. She's a good fighter. She's dedicated her life to sport. She's a great character. I wish she'd unlock that, because I tell you, she's hilarious. And people love her in the gym, and I want to see that character come out, and I want to see her quality come out on Saturday night. That is a really good world championship fight, Ellie Scotney against Shanika Johnson.
And completing the trio, Nina Hughes makes her matchroom debut against Kate Healy. A fairly short notice opponent, but a great opportunity for Nina to make a statement.
I think whenever there's a chance to make a domestic world title fight, I'm all about it. And that was an opportunity of 3-week notice. We looked around, we looked at some names. Katie Healy 6-0, no wins of serious note. So there's a lot to prove for Katie Healy. But in all honesty, not many wins of note for Nina until she beat Jamie Mitchell, which was a fantastic win. And listen, hands up, I didn't send her out there because we didn't represent her at the time, but we gave her that opportunity expecting her to lose to Jamie Mitchell. It was an unbelievable performance. And now she sits there about to change her life with unifications against Ebanie Bridges and the like at bantamweight. But she needs to set about Katie Healy as well, because Katie Healy is very tall, very rangy. She'll want to box Nina, and Nina has a fantastic engine. She punches very hard. She needs to get in range and start that fight fast, because a defeat for Nina would be devastating. To go to Dubai and to beat arguably the best in the division, or one of them, and to give it away in the first defence would be brutal for her. There is so much to come for Nina Hughes, but she must win on Saturday. It's another good domestic fight. Both girls sold a lot of tickets, and that will kick off the main broadcast.
You mentioned Ebanie there. I think one of our guys crossed paths with Ebanie over in Philadelphia in the week when we was filming with Andy Cruz. She's very much up for the winner of this fight. Is that the logical next step? Yeah,
I think Ebanie will have a defence. Obviously, she had a major hand operation. Expect her to see her defend her titles in August and then go into a unification fight. I think with the winner of Nina against Katie, I think, Ebanie wants to become undisputed in the bantamweight division. And again, same thing, we want to see one champion across that weight class.
Let's have a look at the rest of the card. Johnny Fisher fighting his first southpaw opponent in Salas. What can you tell us about Salas? And also with Johnny, is there an immediate rush to move him on?
No rush. I mean, I guess the only rush with Johnny Fisher is, he's got 1,000 of his own fans coming to every fight, and they want to see real fights. They have to understand the development, and we'll give him a great night every time. This is the last 8-rounder before he goes into the serious stuff. It's a solid opponent. It's a southpaw. They wanted to face a southpaw in this developmental stage, so they can tick that box. So I expect a devastating performance from Johnny Fisher. The atmosphere is going to be wild, and then he's going to move on to probably some big fights domestically, just before those Wardley and Adelaide and Fraser Clark guys. But expecting a sharp performance from Johnny Fisher, the last 8-rounder of his career, a great crowd, a great atmosphere, and probably a short night's work, I would believe.
There's 2 fights on the undercard in particular that I think will be really explosive. The first one, Chev Clark against David Jameson. This has got all the ingredients to be pure fireworks, right? And an eliminator for the British title.
Yeah. Second fight on the main broadcast, Chev Clark against David Jameson. It's a belter. Chev Clark has looked great. Inexperienced as a pro, I mean, fantastic amateur, Olympian, but moving quick, already in a final eliminator for the British title. David Jameson and his team, we saw Jay McFarlane's team, same team, come up to me in Dublin. We'll have any money you want, David Jameson beat Chev Clark. Now, if I was a betting man, I'd back Chev Clark every day. But the belief that David Jameson has, and don't forget, took the Lawal fight on a week's notice, gave him a rough time. Full camp, 7 weeks. This is a very tough fight for Chev Clark. It's a brilliant cruiserweight matchup. And if Chev is what we believe he is, he'll look good winning on Saturday night. But he will be tested, and if he underperforms, and if he's not the fighter that we believe he is, he could get beat on Saturday night. But this is exactly how we want to match our quality premium young fighters that we believe will go on to be world champions, because they need to be beating people like David Jameson, doing it well, but they're also going to get everything they can handle and they're going to get tested. And that's what we want. And I'll tell you, that's a brilliant matchup.
Should Chev come through, what sort of time frames are we looking at for him to jump in with?
Ready. I mean, look, you've got Luau is, I know he has a fight, but Luau, Isaac Chamberlain, ready for all those guys if you come through Jameson. Jordan Thompson, we want to push him towards the world route. That could be a matchup between those guys down the line. But, Luke Watkins, I don't know. But Chev's moving real fast, real nice. He's an elite fighter. You look at his amateur pedigrees, he's mixed with the very best. But he has a real fight on Saturday night.
And the before the bell main event, Yusuf Kamari and Reece Bellotti. I think it's gone under the radar a little bit personally, but a really must-win fight for both men.
Yeah, I always like to make one good one before the bell. We have a lot of our prospects on before the bell, which is great. It's free to air. It gives people the chance to watch our best prospects. But generally, you don't see that many competitive fights on before the bell because it's an educational part of the show. Yusuf Kamari against Reece Bellotti is a blinder because you've got two kids. Yusuf Kamari, part of the Dillian Whyte team. I'll give him another opportunity. Looked really good. Lost to Castaneda in a really good fight at the O2. Come back with 2 wins against not much competition. And has to win. Has to win. Good talent. Reece Bellotti, who remains one of my favourite fighters of all time, came out, had a great job, decided to follow his dream of boxing, was a great amateur, won the Commonwealth title. And when you look back at the Jason Cunningham victory, that's a massive win at the time.
Yeah.
Aged very well. Lost to Ryan Walsh for the British title, had a couple of defeats, lost here to Ray Ford, which again now looks like a fantastic defeat as well. Came back, knocked out Dean Dodge. And again, Reece has nothing to lose. He beats Yusuf Kamari, all of a sudden he puts himself in line for another big fight and a big payday. So this is really last chance saloon for both of those guys on big TV shows. Reece, top, lovely fella. Got loads of fans coming from Watford. Yusuf Kamari sold a load of tickets. Going to be a great atmosphere. In the ring, probably 6 o'clock, something like that. Normally a fight you'd see on a main card, but a really good sort of headline act, if you like, for before the bell.
The educational section of the card, we've got Shannon Ryan, George Liddard and Muhammad Ali all featuring. Just a quick one-liner on each of those. Yeah,
3 outstanding prospects. I mean, Muhammad Ali will kick us off. What a name. Again, sold a huge amount of tickets, got a great following. Only a baby, really, but looked really good up in Newcastle. I think this kid has so much potential. Shannon Ryan, again, outstanding prospect, has a good fight on Saturday. Start moving her into title thoughts over 10 rounds later this year. She's a great prospect under Anthony Joshua's 258 management. And George Liddard, who I really, really rate as a top young talent in the country. Super strong, punches very, very hard. Couple of good wins already. And, a real young developing star from the Tony Sims stable. So before the bell, Ali, Ryan and Liddard, and into that great 10-rounder with Yusuf Kamari against Reece Bellotti.
Let's just fast forward a week. Some unfortunate news. We've lost the Justice Hooney and Andrew Tabiti fight in New Orleans. You looking to reschedule that one?
Yeah, reschedule it. Great fight. And also replace it on the card in New Orleans. Justice Hooney, had a damaged ankle, which was a shame because we were looking forward to a great fight for him, but that will be rescheduled. Looking forward to a big fight in New Orleans next week with Regis Prograis.
We've got a big run coming up. 6 in 6 is what we're sort of labelling it as. There is one missing piece of the puzzle late in July. I know you talked about maybe Felix Cash against Amo Williams. What can you update us on that potential fight and date as well?
Yeah, I think we're talking to Fabio Wardley at the moment about fighting July 29. We'd like him to fight on July 29 and potentially defend his British title. Felix Cash against Amo Williams is another fight that could happen as co-main event. And a lot of other really good stuff and 50-50 fights planned for that card. So we're in discussions at the moment. Could we announce on air? Maybe. But July 29 looks like it has potential as well to be part of a long run coming up.
Just touching on Fabio there, let's be honest, I guess the pool of potential opponents to defend that title is fairly small.
Domestically, yes. I mean, Adelaide will be next after this one. That's a great fight. Fraser Clark's pulled out of the fight. And that kind of leaves you with Soldakers, which I think is a great fight. Dave Allen. Cash Ali seems to be on the missing list from boxing. So you're quite limited. You know, it doesn't have to be for the British title, but ultimately, we want Fabio to win the Lonsdale belt outright, and to do that, he needs to start defending it, and that's our preferred option.
A couple of little things bubbling up online in the last 48 hours or so. Joe Cordina against Foster.
Yeah.
Any truth in those rumours?
Yeah, we're talking to Shaquille Foster's team. He's a hell of a fighter. I mean, listen, we talk about great fights. Joe Cordina against Shaquille Foster unification, unbelievable fight. And if Joe wants to go straight into that, I'm up for it. You know, we'll see if Shaquille Foster doesn't outprice himself. You know, he'll get what we believe that fight is worth. But that's a tough fight for both. Incredible fight for boxing. And if those guys want to unify straight off the bat, more than happy to make it happen.
Oscar De La Hoya, are you staying in your lane?
Yeah, I mean, Oscar, like, you know, Oscar doesn't mind criticising everybody. You know, Eddie Hearn's this, he's that. You know, he shouldn't have made the Bivol fight, he doesn't know what he's doing. And then all of a sudden someone asked me, and I just said, well, it's a joke what he said about Ryan Garcia, embarrassing. Next thing, I've got to stay in my lane. Shut up, plonker.
Quotes coming from the BBC yesterday that an offer has gone into Dillian Whyte to fight Anthony Joshua. Can you confirm that's true? And if so,
that is true, yeah.
Have you heard back?
No, not yet. We're talking to Dillian Whyte's team. An offer has been made. We want to make that fight for August the 12th. We'll see where it progresses. Obviously, Dillian will have his ideas, we'll have our ideas. Hopefully we can get somewhere and find some common ground. But that is our preferred option for August 12th.
And should we progress with that date and that fight? I know we have the O2 booked, but you have also spoke about maybe going outside as well. Yeah,
I love going outside. You know, it's a big fight, big domestic fight and world fight. The O2 would be special as well for that fight. We have booked that for August the 12th. So we'll be looking to make a move in the next week. If it's not Dillian Whyte, we'll secure another opponent. But as I said, that would be our preferred option. Last
two from me. As we sit here at Matchroom HQ, fight camp, just less than 100 yards away, really. Any thoughts about doing it again?
Yeah, I mean, look, every time I come out here and I look in the garden, all I think about is fight camp. You know, I mean, it was really one of the most special moments in the company's history. Fight Camp 1 was unbelievable. Like, no crowd. You could hear a pin drop. And it was, for me, some of the purest moments in boxing that I've seen. I mean, you know, Povetkin knocking out Dillian here, I can hear it. I can hear the noises from the knockout, and I can see it. You know, Katie Taylor boxed Delphine Persoon here for the Undisputed Lightweight World Championship. You know, Terry Harper boxed Natasha Jonas. Cheeseman against Eggington. Leigh Wood won the world title here, right? It's unbelievable what we did. Fight Camp 2 was different because I had people here and it was a great experience, but it was just a bit weird seeing, I don't know, Dave from Rotherham in the bush over there at 1 o'clock in the morning, you know. But it was great fun, and it was great to open up the doors to the boxing hardcore, which is what they were. But I don't know whether it's been and gone, but it'll always be a special moment that we could revive at any moment.
Never say never. Just finally, some big news in the sporting world today, which I guess in a way you do have a connection with your previous in golf and your connections with the Saudi Arabian setup as well. The PGA and LIV have linked forces. What's your take on that?
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, it's such a huge moment for sport, especially the sport of golf. You know, I worked in golf for 5-6 years. Obviously, we owned the Euro Pro Tour with the PGA for 15 years. The dynamics of that deal are unbelievable. I mean, if you're a player that's turned down the opportunity to receive a signing bonus on the LIV Tour to remain loyal and plead your allegiance to the PGA Tour, you'll be feeling real sick right now, you know, because now you're playing on it anyway. If you took the signing bonus, you're going to be feeling super smart. But it's a turning point for the game of golf. You know, I can't tell you a good thing or bad thing. I think you're going to see bigger events, you know, more imagination, maybe more competition. How it affects grassroots golf, I think that's important. I think all round they'll want to make an investment across that level. But just the most unbelievable news for the business of sport.
To finish, how's the calf? Are we going to see you at the Fight Day 5K on Saturday?
Yeah, I had a good little 7.5K this morning. I should be there for the 5K. I'm still slow, but I'm still breathing.
Well, guys, we'll see you there at the Bobby Moore statue, 10 a.m. on Saturday. Eddie, thanks for your time.